It's been over 3 years since we put out a video on the fleet of Delta Airlines. A lot has changed since then, including the reactivation of older airframes and a commitment to purchase newer types like the 737 MAX 10 and A350-1000. So let's take a look at the carrier's fleet for today's video. For Airbus narrow-bodies, we have 45 A220-100s, 34 A220-300s, 57 A319-100s, 48 A320-200s, 127 A321-200s, and 84 A321neos. Airbus wide-bodies consist of 11 A330-200s, 31 A330-300s, 39 A330-900s, and 38 A350-900s. On the Boeing narrow-body side, there are 80 717-200s, 77 737-800s, 163 737-900ERs, 83 757-200s, and 16 757-300s. And finally, for Boeing wide-bodies, there are 38 767-300ERs and 21 767-400ERs. Outside of the mainline fleet, there are another 336 aircraft flying under the Delta Connection brand. This includes nearly 200 Bombardier CRJ aircraft with regional subsidiary Endeavour Air and about 144 Embraer E170 and E175s operated by external firm Republic Airlines. So, what has changed since our last Delta Fleet video in February 2022? Well, apparently quite a bit. The airline had 54 717s back then. Yes, that's right. The airline has more 717s now than it did in early 2022. This is because in 2022 it was more or less assumed that some of Delta's inactive aircraft would be gone for good, and with us not counted in the fleet. However, the carrier has reactivated 16 of these airframes over the past few years. Delta also has 4 more 737-900ERs included in the fleet. For 757s, Delta's -300 fleet stays the same, but the airline now has 28 fewer -200s. When it comes to 767s, Delta's -400ER quantity has stayed the same, but the airline has 3 fewer -300ERs. On the Airbus side, the carrier's A220 fleet has grown considerably. Back in February 2022, it had 41 -100s and 10 -300s. It now has 4 more -100s and 24 more -300s. A319, A321-200 and A330 quantities have stayed the same, but there are 8 fewer A320-200s. When it comes to the A321neo, well, the carrier didn't have any of these aircraft at the time. That means all 84 of these airframes have been delivered over the last 3 years. Incredible. For A330neos, the airline has added 28 of these wide-bodies to the fleet, while it now operates 15 more A350-900s. And while this video is mainly about Delta's mainline fleet, we just have to mention the return of one of its regional jets. In case you forgot what happened, it was in late 2024 that a Delta Airlines Airbus A350 struck an Endeavour Air CRJ 900 operating a Delta Connection flight at Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International. The fate of the CRJ was unknown for some time, but it looks like the Bombardier-built jet, a 12-year-old airframe registered as November 302 Papa Quebec, has returned. The MRO facility tasked with the repair has clearly worked wonders and has brought the jet back on the flight line. Still, it's not surprising that the regional aircraft spent over a year in the hangar, given that major structures had to be rebuilt. In terms of aircraft orders, it was just a few months after our 2022 fleet video that Delta announced it would be ordering the 737 MAX 10. Delta will add 100 of these aircraft to its fleet, with options for 30 more. The aircraft, which were to begin delivery in 2025, have been delayed, but Delta still plans to follow through on the deal. Delta isn't expecting to receive the jets until at least 2026, but Reuters notes that it could be delayed until as late as 2027. We imagine that certification delays on Boeing's side may be a large factor with all of this. But with the eventual delivery of these jets, Delta says that its Boeing 737 fleet will grow to more than 300 total aircraft and will be Delta's second largest fleet family behind the Airbus A350. The airline says that the 737 MAX 10 will be deployed in core hubs including New York, Boston, Atlanta, Detroit, Minneapolis-St. Paul, Seattle, and Los Angeles. Another development that has taken place with Delta's fleet is the expectation that A350-1000s will join in the near future. The order, announced in January 2024, is for 20 of these stretched A350 airframes. The deal will see the airline continue to, quote, refresh and streamline its fleet while improving fuel efficiency and providing a world-class in-flight experience. Delta noted at the time of the announcement that the deal will see the airline bring its A350 fleet to over 60 by the end of the decade. Ed Bastian, Delta's chief executive officer, was quoted as saying, "The A350-1000 will be the largest, most capable aircraft in Delta's fleet and is an important step forward for our international expansion. The aircraft complements our fleet and offers an elevated customer experience with more premium seats and best-in-class amenities as well as expanded cargo capabilities." Unsurprisingly, the aircraft will be powered by Rolls-Royce Trent XWB-97 engines, the A350-1000's only option. Delta says that the incoming A350-1000s will be 20% more fuel efficient than retiring planes, supporting Delta's long-term sustainability goals. The aircraft will primarily be operated in long-haul markets and international hubs in support of Delta's international expansion, replacing retiring planes and fueling growth. The airline adds that the new higher-gauge aircraft will feature world-class amenities, with about 15% more premium seats than retiring aircraft, including Delta One suites, Delta Premium Select, and Delta Comfort Plus, in addition to main cabin. Financial terms of the agreement were not disclosed. Another thing to look out for in the future is a Boeing 787 order. This is still a rumour that has not been confirmed by the airline, and so it's definitely more of a wait-and-see topic. An anonymous source stated earlier in 2025 that the carrier was close to pulling the trigger on a 787 order, and it would most likely be for the Dash 10. Aviation insider John NYC had also confirmed at one point that Delta was finalising a Dreamliner order, noting that it could be announced in late 2025 or early 2026, with delivery set to take place further into the future. Given the state of American politics right now, a Delta move to place a large order with Boeing would also make the Trump administration very happy, while also benefiting Delta in terms of tariff avoidance, as the Boeing jets will be built and delivered to the airline from within the United States. You may recall that Delta inherited an order for 18 787s when it merged with Northwest Airlines in 2009. The order also included options for 50 more. Northwest originally made its order in 2005 with a total list price of $2.2 billion, although we can assume that the order was sufficient to come with a discount. The Delta cancellation was not immediate after the merger with Northwest, as everything was up in the air, no pun intended. For some time, Delta remained unclear about when the 787s would be delivered and where these aircraft would fit into their plans. Cancellation came in December 2016, and the terms of that cancellation have never been released. So, what do you think of Delta's fleet in late 2025? Do you think the carrier will hold off on taking delivery of the A350-1000s if tariffs stand in the way? And will the airline actually announce a deal to buy 787s? Let us know your thoughts and predictions by leaving a comment. In addition to our daily YouTube videos, Simple Flying publishes over 150 articles and a podcast every week. Visit simpleflying.com.